Just love this lifestyle. I think it's given us a sense of freedom and in a weird way, also stability. It's like these two really different things like joined together where you can travel a lot, but you can also have this like safe base of like your home and the things you like and the food that you want to eat. And it's just this mix of two worlds that is very sweet to us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Design Her Travel podcast. I'm your host, Kim Anderson. As an avid traveler, global nomad, and someone who considers themselves a citizen of the world, I want to say welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. My hope in creating this podcast is to inspire you to take the leap of faith and to design the life of your dreams. For me, that includes connecting with like-minded individuals and creating a community of souls living their best lives out in and around the world. Each week, you'll hear stories and conversations from fellow travelers who have figured out how to incorporate travel as a key component in their daily lives. Their stories are beautiful and inspiring, just like you. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. So let's do this. Here we go. Hello, 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 beautiful soul. Welcome back to Design Her Travel. I'm your host, Kim Anderson. Today's episode is the positivity and joyous conversation that you need in your life right now. I think you are going to love it as much as I did. And today's guest is Fiorella Erieberry, which I have to say is one of the most fun names to say. It's starting off right just with her name. But Fiorella knows a thing or two about life on the road. She and her husband have been living the van life for 5 years now, and they've crisscrossed around the country. They stay in really off-radar places. This conversation is not about plugging into campsites around the country. This is about designing a life that is truly yours, is sustainable, gives you everything you need, and you wake up happy every day to be where you are. And Fiorella knows tons about van life. She and her husband have converted 2 vehicles, and so this conversation is all things van life. We talk about what to look for in a vehicle, the stuff that you really need in a conversion, how to find those off the beaten path locations, and what everyday life looks like on the road. If you've ever dreamed of living van life, if you're curious what it's all about, if you have a deep desire to convert your own van, then this episode is for you. This episode is a total inside scoop into van life, overlanding, you name it, living in your vehicle and exploring the world. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Fiorella. Welcome to Design Her Travel. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Me too. I think this topic of conversation is perfect for the summer and people that are outside and building your dreams and being like, how can I do this more? I think it will really land for this time. But before we get started, where are you coming to us from today?
Yeah, today I'm in Flaming Gorge, which is in this little corner between Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and it's a little slice of heaven that is kind of a hidden gem. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's hard to get to, but if you can, I highly recommend this area. It's really beautiful out here.
And which state is it actually in?
The side that we're currently on, I believe, is Utah, but then it has like a little part of it that's Wyoming. Like you can kind of access it from all of them. It's really just right in the border of all those states.
And you and your husband have been living this van life for 5 years now, which is pretty significant. And van life seems to be one of those things that people are, I feel like there's 2 minds. They're straight up enthralled and like wonder how they can do it, or what is this like? And so why did you guys choose van life, and what is it that you love about it so much that you just keep at it?
Yeah, it's funny you word it like that because I feel like I definitely started in that like, why in the world would we do this? When the first time my husband showed me a picture of van life. Granted, this was back in 2017, so I'll go back kind of start there. I've grown up traveling my whole life. Like my parents' thing was always like less stuff and more experiences. So we always grew up traveling and having that understanding that trips are so much cooler than like a gift, a material gift. So I've always chased that travel bug since I was very little. And then when we got together in college, we actually went and studied abroad. We lived in Europe for 6 months and then backpacked Europe and just really fell in love with traveling even as an adult. And we were like, how do we keep doing this? And we came back and we started after college, traditional life. But anytime we could, we would just run away. Like, how can we take a trip here and like add up our PTO here and take the long weekend here? And it was just constantly in our minds. And I think in that search of trying to see how we could sustain ourselves or do it for a longer period than just these vacations, my husband came across van life and he showed me a picture. And back in 2017, it was before, this big boom of this type of lifestyle and traveling. So it was just a picture of like a cargo van with like a blow up mattress in it. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's crazy. Why would I live in a vehicle? That's insane. It just seemed like a crazy thought to me. And then we just thought about it some more and then we looked into it some more. And then I started finding the nice builds or like the nicer school bus builds. And I was like, wait, I could actually have everything and it could be really comfortable and it could be a way for us to like live and travel at the same time. So that's how we got into it. And we bought our first bus in 2018. And yeah, we started with a shuttle bus. It took us about 2 years to convert. And we took it slow. We did that conversion and then we hit the road right before the pandemic in 2020. And we've been on the road ever since. And I think at the beginning we were like, we're going to do this for a year. I think that's what we thought. And it was quickly after getting on the road that we were like, no, this is really incredible. We could do this for a really long time. And yeah, we're here 5 years later and people keep asking us like, how long do you have on you? And I don't know, we keep saying at least 5 more. So we just love this lifestyle. I think it's given us a sense of freedom and in a weird way, also stability. It's like these two really different things like joined together where you can travel a lot, but you can also have this like safe base of like your home and the things you like and the food that you want to eat. And it's just this mix of two worlds that is very sweet to us.
Yeah, I love it. And bonus, you don't have to pack your things to go to new places.
Exactly. It's just so awesome having all your things. That's honestly our biggest thing. Anytime we've taken trips outside of road life since being on the road, it's like, how do people do this? Like I'm used to having my house with me at all times. What do I pack? What do I not pack? I've become like a worse packer because I don't understand how to do that anymore.
I love it. That is what Honey Trek said as well. They've been nomadic for like, I don't know, a couple of decades now, and they have an RV. And she said, I am now a terrible packer because she's so used to having it all. She's like, what do I even take? She said, it goes without saying she's going to forget some major things. So do you guys travel only in the US? Do you go Mexico, Canada? Like what's your route?
Yeah, we've done a bit of Mexico. We haven't made it to Canada yet. I was originally born and raised in Bolivia. So just becoming like a US resident and doing that whole immigration process. And for Bolivian passport holders, I would have to get a visa to get into Canada, but because I'm in the immigration process here in the US, it just makes it a little bit complicated. So we're waiting for that green light to be able to go to Canada and go to Alaska. That's also like been our bigger thing of we can't stop until we can make that journey. So we got to keep going until then. But we've done quite a bit of Mexico and love Mexico. We spent a winter down in the Baja Peninsula last winter, and it was just incredible and highly recommend that area too.
And so you talked about the fact that your first vehicle, you converted it was a shuttle bus. And so I think I'd like to gear this conversation to people that are interested in van life, curious about conversion, just give people a really good broad-based knowledge in what it takes to sort of start out. Because if you've done 2 conversions, then you definitely understand sort of the nuts and bolts of the whole beginning the van life journey and making a vehicle yours. And so I guess we'll start with budget, because how do you know, or how did you figure your budget when you were first starting out? Because there's as many styles of vehicles as you could possibly imagine. So I'll actually give you 2 options. You can choose which way you think would be better to start. Is it better to pick your vehicle and decide what style of vehicle you want to travel? Or is it more like budget's going to sort of give you the root of the vehicle?
So the first build, actually, it's a great question for that because it was a budget build for us. We were right out of college. We didn't have like this big savings, and we wanted to split our savings between building it and also being able to like have those savings for when we were on the road. So we were very focused on budget. And I think when it comes to the vehicle and picking that, I think you can do a little bit of both. I think you can pick what vehicle you want and then kind of pick a budget for that vehicle. Like, for instance, if you're interested in van life, as in specifically a van, you can pick a van because that's small. Maybe it's comfortable to you for driving. Maybe you're into that size and shape. And you could also have a budget within that vehicle pick. So vans come in all shapes and forms and sizes and at all budgets. So you could buy a brand new one from the dealership that's going to be really expensive. Or you could get like an older model and, put a budget into that van and look for it in Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, like these very used platforms or like secondhand platforms. And I think you could do a little bit of both. And you definitely, I think, want to have a say in the vehicle just because they'll make you more comfortable into what you're going to be investing, like the time to convert or build. I think a lot of people think of school buses because they're big and they're going to have a lot of room. And if that's important for you, then that's good. But you also got to consider like the size. Like, are you comfortable driving something like that if you've never driven something like that before? And kind of thinking about that part a little bit. I don't think that's something we did as much, which is the reason we ended up having to do a second conversion. I think there were some questions at the beginning that we didn't fully ask ourselves. Like, the shuttle bus ended up being way too big for us. Like, we couldn't fit in one parking spot. So we had to just having to deal with a vehicle that size, it was just adding up so quickly on us, which is inevitably one of the bigger reasons why we decided to do it again.
Oh, brilliant. And so tell us about your current vehicle, because I have to say it looks extremely cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a search and rescue. So it's like a weird mixture of an ambulance and like a fire truck. It actually belonged to the fire investigation unit in Nassau County. So it was based out of New York. It lived in New York most of its life. We bought it from the guy who bought it at auction. So a lot of the government vehicles will go into something that's called auction after they're used. And that's also a great resource if you're looking for school buses. Like, a lot of them will go through auction and it's really cheap to get them through auction. So that's a great resource on the side there. But we bought it from the owner that had bought it from auction. So it didn't go through many hands. It's in great shape. The good thing about ambulances and fire trucks is that a lot of states require that they get washed and cleaned and preserved like while it used. So although it lived in New York, it didn't have any rust, which is something you want to look up in a vehicle, especially if you're going to convert and put a house in it, which again, we didn't know in our first build. So we were very aware in our second one. But yeah, ambulances are a great form for van life. They have a really great shape. They're small. They're for the most part pretty affordable. So we were kind of looking into all those buckets, and this exactly fit the bill. We were very concerned on a smaller vehicle. We also wanted something that had more clearance and that we could kind of upgrade into there's a world of van life called overlanding and like overland rigs. And you're talking about big military vehicles, and a lot of these are very expensive. So we were kind of trying to do that in a budget. So this is how we ended up in what we have.
I love that, overland on a budget. Yeah. When you start to dive into the overlanding vehicles, they're wild, and they are, I mean, even if they look pretty rustic, there's a lot of time and money and resources that went into making those. So something that I noticed was part of your, I guess, overland on a budget, but you put really big tires on your vehicle. So did you do that where you could go more off-roading places?
Yeah, so we switched our tires. We switched them actually to military tires, and we got rid of the dualies in the back. Something we quickly learned while being in the bus and just also having more friends in this lifestyle and getting to know different rigs is like clearance is definitely going to be one of your best friends if you're trying to do long dirt roads or like more difficult dirt roads. And then dualies are not your best friends because you have two tires. Like we were actually traumatized because we had so many friends who had crazy stories of rocks getting in between their two dualies in the back and pushing the tires off and causing all sorts of damage. So if you can remove those dualies out and have one big tire that can support the weight, which is what we did, you just have more chances of what you can do with those tires since they're military tires too. Like they're beadlock tires, so we could take out the air pretty much to zero and the vehicle is still drivable. The tires are made to have this gritty, like they can do pretty much anything. So with that, we've been able to supplement a lot of things that like a four-wheel drive vehicle could do without having four-wheel drive. So I like to say we have three-wheel drive because it's like with the tires, we can do so many things. Like we can do really soft sand, like in Baja, Mexico, where I was mentioning, we were going in beaches where we would have gotten stuck in any other vehicle, but because we could take so much air out of the tires and still drive, we could just do deep sand, no problem. So that's our little three-wheel drive joke of we can do a lot. So we're not quite four-wheel, but we're almost there.
Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. I hadn't really factored in that. I love that technical detail of the military tires over the dually. And it makes sense. Also, if you have a dually, well, now you have 6 tires. So one that can be really expensive to replace. 2, you may have to carry more than one spare. It's more tires, more complications. So
yeah, and these military tires are, made to be in dirt roads and things like this. So obviously in some of them, you do have to kind of take some loss. And like, for instance, our tires, the maximum speed is like 65. So you are going to lose in some area. So we go slower in the highway, but we have a lot more capabilities in dirt roads, which is where we spend our time, where we want to go anyway. So we kind of take that for what it is.
And are they crazy expensive, the military tires?
They can be. If you're buying them new, we actually source this through eBay. So there's definitely ways to get them secondhand and still in good shape that are a little bit cheaper. But they're definitely a little bit more expensive than a normal tire, but yeah, definitely worth it.
And so what were your non-negotiables in your second conversion? So now you've lived in a vehicle. You said, obviously the size, you wanted something smaller and you wanted something with a little more clearance. But what were some of your other non-negotiables? A question that comes up a lot is bathrooms. Like, what kind of style of bathrooms? Did that play any part in your conversion? Like, tell us a little bit about the things that you were like, we have to have this in this second conversion.
Yeah, in terms of vehicle and like must-haves, it was the clearance, it was the smaller wheelbase, the shorter wheel length. And then the other big thing for us was a passenger, like a co-pilot seat. So we didn't have that in the bus. So I ended up having to sit in our dinette, or sometimes I would even sit in the floor, which is not safe, but I would sit in the floor so I could sit in the front because I couldn't see the view. So we had this like very disconnected experience in the bus where we would be driving and, my husband would be like, oh my God, look at that. And I'd be like, where, what? So I could not see it. Or I would do that to him because I had, windows that were much higher that were in the back. And I'll be like, oh my God, look at it. It was just not a great experience. And then we were just like yelling at each other because I'm sitting in the dinette and he's sitting all the way in the driver's seat. And it was just this chaotic. Anytime we drove, I would just go back in the bed sometimes and sleep because I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like, there's nothing else for me to do back here. So we wanted that to be different because I really wanted to have my window, be able to sit, and I just wanted to be part of the road driving experience. So that was a big one for us. And with that, we did want something that was connected to the house. In a lot of vehicles, you kind of have to do the choice of whether you're going to have the front, and sometimes, especially in boxes, the box is going to be completely separated, or you can have a pass-through, which is like usually like a little hole or a little connection from the front to back. So that was another big one. And that's actually kind of why we started looking into ambulances, because we kind of realized that a lot of them originally had that pass-through access. And that's been one of our favorite things. I don't think I could ever go back to a vehicle that doesn't have that. It's just so nice having that space that's a designated driving space. And then we have a door, we can close it off. We don't see it. So a lot of times when we're parked, I kind of forget that we can drive this thing. It's like, oh, wait, we have a whole area up there. But that was a big one. And then I think that covers vehicle stuff. In terms of layout and like the house part itself, we definitely wanted the house to still be big enough to have a bathroom. So we had a bathroom in the bus. It was probably too big. And that's part of the reason we're like, okay, we could shrink this up a little bit. But we did want enough room for like a full shower. And so we could have a wet bath situation. So that was important to us. And that came into the factor of like how big the box was. So that definitely considered.
The other thing is like, for me, I lived in a van once, but it was just a converted van I bought from someone in New Zealand. And I loved it. Like, I love the lifestyle. I love the freedom, but I couldn't fully stand up in it. And even when I lived on sailboats, you have to be able to sit up in your bed with clear roof, and you need to be able to stand up in your vehicle. So I think height of a vehicle is something that people really need to take into consideration. It's like, if you can't stand up, just think of that. You can't stand up in your house. It was the thing I was like, oh yeah, this is a non-negotiable moving forward if I do anything different.
Oh, that's a great point. Actually, you even remind me. So when we bought the ambulance, like one thing about ambulances sometimes is that they can be a little shorter. We're both pretty short, so we don't have to worry too much about it. But my husband, he had his head like right next to the ceiling, and even just when we had started gutting in, I was like, this is not like, this is making me nervous for you because you're just like right there. So we actually ended up doing a roof raise in the truck just to give us a little bit more of headroom, just to make sure that we didn't feel like claustrophobic. Because even if you can't stand up, like he could stand up, but he had it right above him. It would like make me so nervous. Anytime I would see him moving, I was like, oh my God, you're going to hit yourself with something. So that is a great, great point.
Yeah, it does make a difference, and you're living in it. So you don't want to feel claustrophobic in your space for sure. When it comes to things like regulations, inspections, insurance, what are those things like when it comes to converting a vehicle? Does it vary state by state? Are there specifics that like everyone has to sort of rules they have to adhere to?
Yeah, it's different per state. There are some states that you can do some programs, and unfortunately, I do know that Vermont has lost this program, but I think there's other ones that are similar. So we're under the Vermont loophole, is what they call it. So you can register like a converted RV through Vermont, or you used to be able to, just by doing some paperwork under the mail. You would just send it. You just had to like fill that it had a bathroom or something. And that's all. And they would change your title for an RV. And with that, you could just get insurance on it normally. In the bus, we did it through Ohio, and that required an inspection. And they just needed to see that you did have like a designated kitchen area and a designated bathroom. That was like about it. Well, I know some states are a little bit more difficult, but there is kind of this exception of states that you can go to, kind of go around if you're having a hard time. But insurance has gotten trickier just because van life, bus life world has gotten a little bit more blown up. They are a little bit like some insurance are a little bit more particular about you have to send pictures to them and they want to see it, and they, especially depending on the value that you're putting on the RV. So I know that that's changed a little bit, but we used to be insured with State Farm, and now we just do a small local insurance. So it's a little tricky, but it's not like impossible or it's not hard as you might imagine it to be.
Okay. And so let's talk about did you guys have skills already to do things like conversion? What about tools? Like, how did you set yourself up to be able to do this? Because I think that might, if I were to look at a vehicle and be like, this would be a great conversion piece, I have no idea how to do that. So did you already have some of those skills?
Not at all. Actually, when I think about like how we built the bus, like I'm like, oh my God, like we were so driven by like just the passion of making it work, because we certainly didn't have anything else for us. But yeah, and like I mentioned before, we started at a time like well before this became more popular. So there was very, very little resources out there. Like I'm talking like there's maybe 2 or 3 YouTube channels, maybe. And they were doing school buses, and we had a shuttle bus, and we made so many mistakes because we were following these people's videos to like the dot in the T, and we're like, wait, we don't have this one railing they had, and we're like, what do we do? Like, so we had a big, big learning curve. We didn't have the right tools at all. Like, we have a lot of our videos of us converting the shuttle bus in our YouTube channel if you want to get a laugh at this. But sometimes like there would be things that Zach would be doing with like a handsaw. And I have like the 30-minute recordings of him just trying to cut the 2x4 with a handsaw. And like all the people in the comments were like, can we buy you a tool or something? And I was like, what do they mean? Like that's the tool to cut it. Little did we know there was, a lot more practical ways to do that stuff. So yeah, we had no tools. If we could do it, anybody could do it, because we certainly didn't have the experience. We didn't have the tools, and we had to really rely on looking things up. How do you build a cabinet? How do you like cut this piece of wood? How do you do this? And we didn't have a budget. So we didn't go out and spend all this money in like buying very nice wood or buying the tools that we needed and the gadgets or any of that. We really kept it very, very minimum. And to do so, I think you just have to get creative. You have to be willing to have a vision of what you're trying to do, but have it be a little bit flexible. Like you probably won't be able to get it to be exactly that, but you can get very close. You also have to be very willing to reach out to like your community, your like, people around you. That's how we started kind of getting it to where it ended up being. Like a friend of mine, her husband was very savvy with electric. So I was like, can I buy you, beer and a pizza, and can you come help us do the electric? Because I have no idea. So like little things like that, like getting friends to like try to help in if they had a little bit better know-how than we did, or can we borrow your tool? Can we borrow this? So it was very like community built. Like our shuttle bus was an effort of a lot of people around us, and we're very grateful and lucky for that. But it's proven that like it's not, you don't have to have this crazy background or all these tools or all this budget. Like you really can make it with just starting out.
Yeah, fantastic. And then let's talk a little bit about your monthly expenses. So obviously the type of vehicle you have will, fuel, how much you move, those things are factor in and can vary a lot. But, for people that have an apartment and these living expenses, like what are your monthly expenses or your cost of living for your current vehicle and your lifestyle?
Yeah, for our current, we do move a lot more than we did in the bus. I feel like we compare it sometimes in the bus we were living a little bit more frugally, and we could really go. We would park in a place and we could be in a spot for like 3 weeks. So pretty much a month, not move. So we didn't have gas and it was just our groceries. So there's that way you can do this. Currently we move a little bit more. So we're spending a little bit more. I would say we spend very comparative to like a rent in a city. So I feel like last time I checked, like Cleveland, which is where we used to live, like our apartment, I think it was up for the rent was like $1,400 a month. And I would say we spent a little less than that. So I compare like our tiny studio in the middle of nowhere in Cleveland, and we spend less than that in all of our stuff, like groceries, fuel. And if we have to get like a permit or something for an area, like if I consider those expenses and like the insurance together, we're spending a little bit less than that a month. So it is very affordable if you're trying to do this. There's obviously, if you're going to move a lot more than us, we're kind of in the middle right now. Like we move more than we used to in the bus, but we're not moving every day. We drive every 4 or 5 days, and we drive like maybe an hour or two. Like we really like to take our time in areas and move around. And that's going to be your biggest thing. The more you move, the more you spend, especially with older vehicles. Our truck is a 1990. It's a diesel. So definitely like the fuel bill is a little bit higher than just like a gas. So we keep it in mind when planning things and try to keep it as slow as we can.
Yeah. And what kind of mileage per gallon do you get on your vehicle?
Yeah, actually the tires helped us a lot, which is ironic because a lot of people don't believe me when I say that. They're like, no way, but it really did. But so we're getting about like 11 to 14 miles per gallon, depending what we're driving, which is not bad for an old diesel that, is carrying a whole house. So can't complain. Could be worse.
Yeah, totally. That's a lot of weight, I would imagine. And so tell us a little bit about your life. Like you said, you're in your day-to-day life. So you said right now you're in a place that you love to spend outdoors. And so do you guys focus on sort of remote places? Like how do you maximize your travel, your van life, your day-to-day life and work? Because I'm assuming somewhere along the way you're working.
Yeah. So we try to like get to a remote place or like get to our location that we're going to spend for like Monday through Thursday. It's usually kind of like our stationary time that we call it, or like we try to be at a location from Monday through Thursday so that I could work. So I do work full time. I work for a company called RVshare. I get to work remotely, which is beautiful, and make kind of my own hours. It's a 9 to 5, but it's a really great flexible work environment that they know what I'm doing and how I live, and they really appreciate and are okay with it. So I get to have a lot of flexibility around it, which I feel very, very lucky for. But yeah, we work through Monday through Thursday. Usually it's like our downtime. We try to get to a place on Sunday or Monday morning, kind of settle up, take the mats out, the chairs, kind of make it like a little home and be in that location for a few days. And then on the weekends, we'll either drive to our next location or maybe go do a hike or go do something in the area that we're interested in, and then kind of just move to the other location. So that's like the schedule we're in a little bit.
Nice. And do you have satellite internet, or are you going to places that have internet?
Yeah, we do have Starlink, which has been a game changer. Before, when we were in the shuttle bus and the bus, we had to make so many decisions based on internet and like where our hotspot could work, and it was very limiting. So Starlink is very great if you're trying to work remotely. It's opened the doors of being able to work really from anywhere with like great high-speed internet. We are cautious about how we use it, just because like I think a lot of people, and I like to add this in here when people ask me about internet, because obviously you are now connected. You can be connected 24/7 if you want to, but we have a rule of like if we're somewhere in the weekend and we don't have internet, won't turn on the Starlink. Like we'll unplug it and leave it off for the weekend. Like we do try to have that balance still of like if we're going to these very remote places, I feel like they're meant to be enjoyed without service. So if I'm not working, we try to unplug it and not use it as much as we can, just because there's magic of being out here and actually being disconnected. So I just always like to throw that in, sparkle in.
Oh yeah, I love that boundary because you're right. And it's sort of like, you have this lifestyle and what attracts you to this lifestyle is the freedom. And, the more we're on our phones, it doesn't matter. You just pick it up and look at it without even meaning to. So I love that you have that boundary that if it's not there, you just don't turn it on in your free time. So I think more people could really benefit from doing that in their life wherever they are. Turn the Wi-Fi off, And so you mentioned RVshare. One of the things I love about RVshare is that people can get a taste of this lifestyle to determine if they like it or don't like it, because it might sound like a dream and you might decide, I do not like this at all, or vice versa. So for people that aren't familiar, what is RVshare and what's your role with the company?
Yeah, RVshare is a peer-to-peer RV rental marketplace. So it's where you can go and find real RV owners that are listing their RVs for rent, and you can rent them out and try them. And it's a great way, like you mentioned, to like experience this lifestyle if you've never had it before, just to try it out. Even if you are convinced that you want to do this and you're looking at rigs, I think it's a great way to test that rig. So you could get a van if you're thinking of a van, and go out and experience it. Make sure you like the size of it. Maybe it's too small. Like, it's a great try before you buy angle too. Of like, I wish we knew about RVshare before we started, because I feel like we could have easily solved so many issues we had in the bus had we tried this lifestyle first. But it's also a great way to travel. I think something I learned once I got into this lifestyle living on the road is like, we reserve RV life for like people when they retire, and we don't realize that like this type of travel is accessible for everyone, and it is so different than that vacation where you're packing everything and you're going to the airport and you're going from place to place and you're kind of like really exhausted from doing all these activities. Like, it's a type of vacation or travel that is going to give you a home base. It can take you out in nature and get you removed from everything. It can also take you from place to place, but it's still with this comfort of home. And the more we've introduced this lifestyle to like our friends or our family and seen them experience like the wild, or seen them experience this type of road trip and seen them enjoy it, the more I feel passionate to share it and to get people to like try it at least once, because it is really like no other style of travel out there. And I'm just so passionate about it. So I've been working for RVshare for almost 3 years, and it matches with my lifestyle so beautifully and seamlessly. And I do a lot of their marketing content. So everything that's words, like our blog or some of our social media, I kind of have my hands on in the background, and I just get to share my passion for my lifestyle and what I do with more people, and hopefully encourage more people to get out there. So I feel very lucky, to work with them and to do what I do.
Oh, I love what a beautiful sort of seamless role. I mean, RVshare's got to be stoked that they have you, and I know you're stoked to have them. You get to do what you love and share it with others. It's like a great fit.
Thank you. Yeah, when we started in the bus, we started out of our savings, and then we loved it so much. So we're like, how do we make this work for us financially? We have to get a remote job or something. And I tried everything. I tried to be a content creator on my own. I tried to do all these other things. And I just came to the realization, like, I work better with stability. It was exhausting for me to feel like I had to do it all on my own. And that's kind of how I went back to like, okay, how could I find a 9 to 5? Because I think sometimes when you join van life, there's this idea of like, you're going to quit everything traditional, like no 9 to 5 forever. Like I realized like they can be both, like, especially with now satellite internet and remote companies and jobs that are willing to have you be wherever and like bond to. And like, it was realizing that and going after like a job that was a company who was fully remote that helped me get into a role where I didn't feel like I had to hide my lifestyle, because I tried to do some jobs before where it was like work from home, but that doesn't mean you can just be traveling everywhere. Like, they were really opposed to that. So kind of figuring those little kinks out and getting to a fully remote company and getting myself stable with a nice work area and like satellite internet, that just kind of made it very sustainable for us to have that freedom and also that stability of like a career and a job. And it's very nice.
Oh, I love it. And, I think that, so many people in this day and age, it's like, the free market economy online, it's so great to, earn your own income and do all the things. But it's actually quite refreshing to hear someone say, the 9 to 5 gives you the stability to give you the freedom. Like I don't think enough people really give it credit. The consistency it's relaxing for the nervous system. It takes the worry away sometimes. So I love that. That's a great blend.
Yeah, I agree. It's been like, I get to just close my computer and just go live my life. And I feel like that boundary wasn't there before. Come to really enjoy it and appreciate it. And yeah, I think it can be like, it just goes to prove that van life can be and look like however you want it to be. You can bring your job, you can have a job, you can be a content creator and do that stuff. Like, but it doesn't have to be just this one way that I feel like sometimes the internet makes it look like. It can just be really however you want it to be.
Oh, that's great. I love your enthusiasm and your passion, like the way, and I'm sure everyone listening can feel like your enthusiasm for life and this lifestyle that you've created. And so I think that's what comes through in the conversation is you get to make it yours. It can look however you want and you can do it in whatever way. And the possibilities are endless. So yeah, thank you for sharing that because it's refreshing to know that you can do it however you want. It works out beautifully. And so I think that's a perfect place to end and move into the lightning round. And so we have 4 quick questions. The first one is, what is a travel tip or an inside scoop for your current location? So Flaming Gorge. So do you have an inside scoop or a travel tip for that area?
Yeah, there's a lot of wild camping or dry camping, so you don't have to stay in a campground as long as you're willing to kind of compromise on some amenities maybe. But you can really get close to the water. You can have a waterfront spot and you can enjoy it and just swim and not have to worry about anything. So always look at dry camping option.
Oh, I love that. I'd never heard that term. So dry camping means that you're just out in the wild camping in open space.
Yeah, so dry camping, boondocking is another term for it too, that it's kind of used together, or they're both similar. But yeah, it's when you're camping just in the middle of nowhere, but you have your RV there. So you just still have like the comfort or like the house, but you don't have plugins. So you won't have electric. You won't have like the plugins, but you get to have better spots, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. So do you guys typically do more dry camping or do you do like, sort of parks and public spaces, or does it vary?
No, we're fully off grid. So we build both the bus and this rig to be fully be able to be out here in boondock. It saves a lot of money if you're trying to do this lifestyle, and it gives you just so much more freedom. So we have solar panels, batteries, like everything that is just, we can be out here for as long as we want to. So we mostly boondock. I don't think actually in the new rig we've ever stayed in an RV park. And I think in the shuttle bus we stayed in a campground like twice in 2 years, maybe. Yeah, we really avoid them.
Well, and last time I spoke with someone, I was amazed to hear that some of these camping spots go for like a couple $100 a night. I was like, what in the world? Like, it's insane, especially post COVID. So I love that you're fully sufficient. And so typically it's lightning round, so I don't ask this many questions, but this opened up a slight. So yeah. So what do you use like as far as map wise or to find these particular places? Is it just word of mouth? Is it like you're really good at Google Maps, or like how do you find these locations?
Yeah, there's different apps nowadays. There's a ton of them. Compadium, The Dirt, like there's just a bunch of different apps and they have different versions. Like you can do free versions or premium versions that have more access to different points. We've been particularly really loving an app that's called Onyx Off-Road. It's mostly for like dirt tracks. So like if you're going to do really long routes in dirt roads that go like miles and miles and miles. But something I really like about this app is that you can put filters on and it can show you like if you're in public land, if you're in BLM, if you're in national forest, because all of those have different regulations on how long you can stay or where you can park. And then now they have a new feature too where you can add a map layer where they allow like designated camping, like dry camping. So it makes it really easy to see on the map like if I take this road, I end up in public land and I can park here for up to 14 days. It makes it really, so you kind of have to look around and see where you want to go. That's one we use a lot.
Oh, brilliant. And it's called Onyx Off-Road?
Yes. Onyx Off-Road.
Cool. We'll link that one in the show notes. Question number 2 is, what is a book or that has inspired you to design this extraordinary life?
It's a book I read later on, so we were already on the road, but it's called Nowhere for Very Long. It's actually a girl named Brianna that lived this life and van life, and she has a really cool story. So I really like her take on nomad life and just being out here.
Oh, fantastic. And question number 3 is, what is something you always take with you, you never leave home without? So you move with all of your belongings, but say you take a trip, you go somewhere, like what's something that you would never leave home without?
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, I think of a simple thing like chapstick because I've become obsessed with that. I can't go anywhere without it. But then a bigger thing, I'm so used to having my whole house with me. But a journal. I'll say I have like a little journal that I write like every day and just field notes or just things that happen and things like that. I'm a big writer, so that will always go with me.
Let's see. The last question is, what is on the top of your bucket list for adventures or destinations?
Oh, I love that question. I think for us, like within this world, is doing the Pan American Highway. So I was born and raised in Bolivia. My whole family's in Bolivia, which is the heart of South America. So part of the reason we got into this lifestyle was with the dream of driving from the tip of Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, which is the southernmost point in South America, going through Bolivia. So that is big in our bucket list and our dreams. Hopefully, here in the next few years, we'll be able to accomplish that.
I think it sounds like so much fun. I've spoken with a number of people that have done it, whether a motorbike or their vehicle, and I'm like, it's so fun. And it always leads to something else. Like you never know it's not just a trip. Like it's not just a road. It ends up being this launching pad for who knows what next. But
oh, I love it.
I love it. Me too. And then where can people find you or connect with you online?
Yeah, so you can find me and my channels in all social media at Growing Slow and Wild. We're on YouTube, Instagram probably our bigger one, but I'm always around there. If you guys have any build questions or any more details you would like to have, I'm an open book. I love sharing this lifestyle and our experience. And if you're curious about renting an RV or trying it out, you can find RVshare at rvshare.com, and they're on social too.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much. At the time of this recording, it's morning, and I feel like I'm like the luckiest person alive to be able to have this beautiful conversation with such a shining spirit. So thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for being brave enough to live this extraordinary life, and happy travels. I loved so much about that conversation, and here are the key takeaways. Number one, when deciding what type of vehicle you would like to convert, you can pick a budget and your vehicle. You can have both. The first thing is to pick your vehicle and then work your budget around that. Number two, if you are looking for a vehicle to convert, there are a few places where you can find secondhand vehicles that will really help you be able to find the perfect vehicle for you. Look at Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or the hidden gem of this conversation was look at auctions for government vehicles. Things like ambulances and fire trucks all have strict regulations in their maintenance schedules throughout the life of the vehicle. They have very few owners many times, and those auction sites are a great inside tip to finding your perfect ride. Number three, something to look for when looking at vehicles is to make sure that it is rust-free. Rust is not your friend when it comes to putting your house on wheels, so definitely check to see if there's any rust. Number four, clearance is your best friend when it comes to your vehicle. Giving yourself more clearance will allow you to explore a little more off radar. And having military tires will also give you the ability to drive in harder destinations, even if you don't have four-wheel drive. Number five, something to consider before converting your vehicle is the accessibility from the driving quarters to the living quarters. Being able to access both of those locations can be key. Number five, when it comes to registering and insuring your vehicle, make sure to do a Google search. Some states are more friendly when it comes to regulations and insurance, so be sure to look online and maybe find some of those loopholes or look for states that make the process easy. And number six, when you are creating or converting your van or your vehicle, make sure to get creative. Have your vision, be flexible, and be willing to tap into your community to do things like trade for someone else's specialty, such as electrical or carpentry. Get really creative on your vision, and you can make anything happen. The quote that I would like to leave you with today is from Tom Stoppard. And he said, look on every exit being an entrance somewhere else. I love that quote so much. I think it can be applied to lots of things in life. It's similar to when one door closes, another one opens. And I think that the more we can embody that philosophy in life, the easier life becomes. Letting go of what was in order to allow what will be is such a gift. Fiorella's conversation, my conversation with Fiorella today I found my conversation today with Fiorella so inspiring. Witnessing someone that's living their truest dreams, doing it on their own terms, exploring the world, and really creating a life that fills them with passion and joy is contagious. I hope that you found as much inspiration in this conversation today as I did. As always, I love hearing from you, so hit me up on Instagram. And of course, if you would like an inside scoop to this conversation and some of the behind the scenes, then be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. You will get one email every Tuesday with behind the scenes tips, more about the conversations, and some of the things that are alive for me and within the travel industry. You can click the link in the show notes to sign up now. I can't wait. I'll see you there. Until next time, my friends. Thank you so much for showing up and listening to this episode. I know that there are so many things in life that you could be doing right now. And so it means a lot to me that you're here. There are so many more episodes coming your way. So if you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to review and follow us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you know someone who might like to hear it, please share. Those little acts of kindness mean a lot and help more than you know. I appreciate your time and getting the opportunity to share this moment. I'd love to hear more from you. I'd love to connect, so reach out on social. You can find me on Instagram at Seafaring Wanderer. That's SeafaringWanderer. And then you can join our Facebook group at Design Her Travel Podcast. I would love to connect, hear more from you. Let me know what you'd like to hear more of, places you'd like to hear about, and things you'd like to know how to do when designing your life. So thank you, everyone, and I'll be back soon.